This is your tour of the lab to see where all the safety equipment is located. The room number is 3123, or the easy way to say it is 3123, and this will be our biology home for the year. So as we move into the room, I want you to first turn to the left. Right inside the door, there's a table, and on the wall right above the table is the panic button. This is an emergency button that lets us contact the office in case we have an emergency. As we turn around, look on the other side of the door, to the right of the door, there is a poster with the instructions for various kinds of emergencies, what the expectations are for each of these different kinds of emergencies. And directly underneath that is the emergency evacuation map. It shows the routes of evacuation when we need to leave the room for some kind of emergency like a fire or whatever. The room is circled there in red so you can see which direction we need to go. You can see we've got plenty of sinks in the room, and each of the sinks, I believe there are 9 sinks, each of the sinks has a soap dispenser and paper towels so that we can always keep our hands clean and clean up whatever we need to clean up. And as we move to the back of the room, we'll talk about some of the features that are back here. One thing I want to point out is this is recorded before school started, which is why all the stools are stacked on the counters. They will not be there by the time school starts. As we move to the back, notice there's another door here. This is the back door of the classroom. It is not an entry door. It's an exit door only. But to the left of this door, we also have a copy of the emergency evacuation map so that you can figure out where to go or which direction to go if you're in the back of the room rather than in the front. So let's turn back around and look at the other stuff. There's a big white plant light there to grow plants under. And this big beige box here is the fume hood. The fume hood is like the exhaust fan over the stove at your house. It draws up noxious fumes. And to the right of the fume hood is a box called the glass disposal. That's where we put broken glass and other sharp objects that need to be discarded rather than in the trash can where they could be harm someone else. To the left of the fume hood is the eye wash fountain and the emergency shower. Notice there's a handle there to pull. The shower head is up at the top, and there's also a flashing light that comes on when it's activated. This is only to be used in case of emergency, not a toy. Then we're going to look at some stuff in the prep room in the back of the room. There's a door back here in the back that leads to the teacher prep room. Notice the sign says no students allowed, but there are occasions where you can come in the prep room with permission. So some of our emergency equipment is back here. This is a prep room that is shared by 4 classrooms. The door directly ahead of you here is Coach Isbell's door, and that door there is Coach Munson's door, and then over here to the left is Mrs. Garcia's door. And the reason we're coming back here is because some of our safety equipment is back here. So right beside Mrs. Garcia's door is the fire blanket. The fire blanket is in this container here. There is a latch at the bottom of it that you can just flip and the blanket will fall out, so you can have easy, quick access to it if it's needed. You know the purpose of a fire blanket, I hope. If not, you need to figure that out. And right beside Coach Munson's door is a fire extinguisher. This is a standard ABC fire extinguisher. I happened to be at school the day the fire inspector came to do the current inspections of our safety equipment, so I can tell you that it was recently inspected and everything is ready to go for the school year. As we turn back around to go to the classroom, notice on the counter here beside Coach Munson's door is a first aid kit. There's also a smaller first aid kit in my classroom that has Band-Aids in it. And I usually have some alcohol and things like that available. In the cabinet here at the end on the bottom is where we store our gloves. There's a label that says gloves. It's locked right now, but when we need to use the gloves in class, we will have them ready for us to use. And then as we look at the other side of the prep room, we can see the back side of the fume hood. Notice that it's a pass-through, so we can pass lab materials through. And also, this is where we keep our biohazard bags. One of the topics on your safety horse worksheet is about biohazard bags. It asks you the color, which is red or orange. And then we'll move back into the room to see a few more things there. As we come back into the room, look back over here to the left and see there's our back door again. Notice that I want to point out to you that it has an exit sign above it. That's by law. It has a lighted exit sign so that if the lights go off, we can still see the exit sign. There's one above the front door as well. Labs are required by law to have two exit doors, and they have to have the bars that you can push on to go out into the hall rather than having to turn a knob. On the demo table, there's another sink there, as well as a gas jet. And on the end of the demo table, there's a big red button in a plastic box. The button is called the emergency shutoff, and that shuts off all of the power around the room, including to the teacher computer and smartboard, in case there's an emergency. We cover it with a box so that we don't accidentally hit it and disconnect things before we need to. There's the exit sign above the front door. And one more thing to show you that happens to be right outside in the hall. To the right of the classroom door, as we turn back around to the left and see we're heading down toward the commons and the stairs. And as we look right beside the door, there's another fire extinguisher there. So we have ready access to two fire extinguishers.